I died choking on my own blood in the trunk of a Lincoln Town car. The kind my father loved because it screamed old money and quiet power. The last thing I saw before the darkness swallowed me was the glint of my brother's switchblade. His face twisted not in remorse, but in that smug, calculated relief, like he'd just closed a bad merger. For years of silence, of swallowing screams in boardrooms and family dinners. And it ended with me hogtied in the dead of a Chicago winter, my pleas muffled by duct tape that tasted like regret. But death isn't the end, it's a goddamn reset button. And when I gasped awake in my old bedroom, the calendar on the wall screaming December 3rd, 2021, 4 years to the day before my murder, I knew the Harringtons were about to learn what betrayal really costs. My name is Aria Harrington, and in this life, or this second chance, whatever the hell you call it, I'm not the dutiful daughter anymore. Back then, at 24, I was the golden girl of the Harrington dynasty, heir to a real estate empire built on Chicago's lakefront gold mines.
Dad.
Victor Harrington was the kingpin of luxury condos. The guy who schmoozed mayors over steak at Gibson's and buried zoning scandals under layers of campaign donations. Mom, Evelyn, played the ice queen socialite, her Botox smile hiding the gin bottles she drained in the walk-in pantry. And then there was Ethan, my older brother by 3 years. The golden boy with the Ivy League MBA and the sociopath's grin, always one step ahead in the family Game of Thrones. The hook of it all? I'd stayed silent for 4 years before my death. Ever since I stumbled into that basement office on my 20th birthday and saw what no sister should. Ethan, elbow deep in falsified ledgers, laundering blood money from a deal gone south. It wasn't just embezzlement. It was a cover-up for a hit-and-run that killed a union organizer who dared to push back on one of Dad's developments. The guy, Raul Mendoza, had been protesting evictions on the South Side, and Ethan's escalade turned him into roadkill. Dad knew. Mom knew. They all knew. And when I confronted them, tears streaming like I'd lost my favorite Louboutins, they didn't deny it. They offered me a choice: join the silence or become the next loose end. I chose silence. God, what a fool. For 4 years, I played along, signing off on the books, smiling for the society pages in the Tribune, dating the safe, boring lawyers they paraded through the penthouse like cattle. But the guilt gnawed at me, a cancer in my gut, every time I drove past the murals on the West Side memorializing folks like Raul. I started drinking, popping Xanax like candy, my once sharp mind dulling under the weight of their secrets. And Ethan? He watched me like a hawk, whispering in Dad's ear about my instability, planting seeds that I'd crack. Which I did. In the end, not with a bang, but with a drunken voicemail to a reporter, slurring half-truths about family skeletons. That's what got me the blade in the trunk. Waking up that morning in 2021, my body 18 again, no, 24. Wait. The math hits different in rebirth. I bolted upright in my queen-sized bed overlooking Lake Michigan, the silk sheets tangled around me like restraints. The room smelled of vanilla candles and fresh laundry, not the metallic tang of my own demise. My hands, smooth, unscarred from the frantic clawing at the trunk lid, trembled as I touched my face, my neck, feeling the pulse thrum strong and steady. The mirror across the room showed me wide green eyes, chestnut hair in a messy ponytail, the freckles across my nose that Mom always said made me look too Irish for high society. But it was me.
Aria. Alive.
Before the basement. Before the silence. A knock rattled the door. Aria? Breakfast in 10. Sweetheart. Big day, Board meeting at noon. Dad's voice. All gravel and false warmth, like he'd rehearsed it in front of a mirror. My stomach lurched. In this timeline, it was the day after my 20th birthday bash. The one where champagne flowed like the Chicago River and I laughed too loud at Ethan's jokes, oblivious to the storm brewing. The basement revelation was tonight, after the caterers cleared out and the family debriefed over cognac. I stumbled to the bathroom, splashing cold water on my face, staring at the girl who hadn't yet sold her soul. "You get one shot," I whispered to the reflection. "Make it count, but how? Expose them now, and I'd be dismissed as a hungover party girl spinning tales. Run to the cops. They'd laugh me out. Harringtons owned half the precincts in the city." No. Revenge wasn't a sprint. It was a marathon of calculated cuts, the kind that left scars no surgeon could fix. Downstairs, the kitchen gleamed like a showroom, marble counters, Sub-Zero fridge humming softly, the lake view framing it all in postcard perfection. Mom sipped her green juice, scrolling her phone for the latest gossip on the Real Housewives knockoffs of Lincoln Park. Ethan lounged at the island, nursing black coffee, his Brooks Brothers shirt crisp as his conscience wasn't. "Morning. Sleeping Beauty," he drawled, that smirk already in place. "Heard you killed it last night. Cousin Lila said you owned the dance floor." I forced a laugh, sliding onto a stool and grabbing a blueberry muffin from the basket, same brand I'd choked down 1,000 times in my first life.
"Yeah. Well,
Someone had to show you fossils how it's done." Inside, bile rose. This was the man who'd held me down while Dad injected the sedative. His whisper in my ear. "For the family."
sis."
Always for the family. I wanted to lunge across the island, smash the mug into his temple, watch the shards embed like the lies he'd fed me. But not yet. Patience. Arya. Play the part. The board meeting was at Harrington Holdings headquarters downtown. A glass monolith on Michigan Avenue that screamed, "We own this city." I rode with Dad in the Bentley, the leather seats creaking under us as he droned on about quarterly projections. "You're stepping up today?"
"Kiddo."
"Ethan's handling the financials. But I want you on the community outreach spiel. Show and we're not just suits we care." His hand patted my knee, paternal and possessive. In my old life, I'd beamed, eager for approval.
Now,
it felt like a noose tightening. The conference room was a Shark Tank, gray-haired execs in Hermes ties, laptops open to spreadsheets that hid the rot. Ethan presented first, his slides a masterpiece of smoke and mirrors, profits up, evictions reframed as urban renewal opportunities. When my turn came, I stood at the head of the table, heart pounding like a bass drop at a South Side club. "Ladies and gentlemen," I began, voice steady despite the storm inside. "Our developments aren't just buildings. They're homes. And last quarter, we displaced 127 families on the Near West Side. But here's the twist. We're investing in relocation grants. Real ones. No strings." Murmurs rippled. Dad's eyebrows shot up. This wasn't the script. In the original timeline, I'd towed the line, parroting the party line about necessary progress.
Now,
I was poking the bear, highlighting the human cost. Ethan's eyes narrowed across the table, a flicker of that predator gleam. "Bold take, Arya," he said after, clapping slowly as we filed out. "But watch the optics. Folks like Mendoza's crew, they eat that guilt trip shit for breakfast." Mendoza. He said it casual, like a slip. But my blood froze. He didn't know I knew yet. Or did he? Paranoia, the old friend, crept in. That night was the basement. The ledgers. The truth. Back home, the party haze lingered, empty flutes on the sideboard, a forgotten balloon drifting like a ghost. I excused myself early, claiming a migraine, and slipped down the back stairs to the wine cellar that doubled as Dad's private office. The air was cool, musty with oak and old secrets. My hands shook as I flipped on the desk lamp, the green shade casting shadows like bars on the walls. Drawers yielded nothing at first. Pens,
Notepads.
a flask of Dad's favorite bourbon.
Then,
The false bottom in the center pedestal, a click. And there it was. The ledger. Black moleskin. Edges frayed. Raoul's name scrawled in red ink beside figures that screamed payoff. Footsteps on the stairs. I shoved it back, heart slamming, and turned just as the door creaked open. Ethan, silhouetted, a glass of scotch in hand. Can't sleep? His smile didn't reach his eyes. Too much bubbly, I lied,
forcing a yawn.
You. He stepped closer, the door clicking shut behind him. Just checking on my little sis. Family first, right? Up close. I could smell his cologne, Acqua di Gio, the same scent that clung to my clothes in the trunk. Rage boiled, hot and immediate. In that moment, every fiber screamed to grab the letter opener from the desk, plunge it into his gut, watch the surprise bloom on his face.
But no.
Not like this. I smiled back. Saccharine. Always. Big bro.
Night.
As I brushed past, his hand grazed my arm, lingering. Possessive. Good girl. Upstairs. Locked in my room. I paced, the ledger's ghosts dancing in my mind. This time, I wouldn't whisper to reporters. I'd build a noose from their own ropes, recordings, documents, allies in the shadows. The trash collector? That came later. A twist even I hadn't seen in my first death. But for now, survival. And the sweet, slow burn of payback. The next weeks blurred into a high-wire act. By day, I was the perfect Harrington. Lunches at the Gauge with Mom, schmoozing donors at the Art Institute Gala, even letting Ethan set me up with a bland trust fund kid named Preston from the club. He's solid, Ethan said over oysters, winking. Won't rock the boat. I laughed, clinking glasses, all while slipping my phone under the table to record his casual drops about cleaning up loose ends on the south side. Nights. I dove deep. From my laptop in the guest house, I'd borrowed the key for study space. I hacked together a paper trail. Nothing fancy, just VPNs from the dark web forums I'd lurked in my pill-popping days. Cross-referencing public records with the ledger's whispers. Raul Mendoza, 32. Father of 2. Crushed under Ethan's tires on a foggy October night in 2020. No charges filed. Witnesses retracted. The tox report on Ethan's blood alcohol lost in transit. Dad's donations to the DA's re-election fund? A cool $1 million. Timed perfectly. But the real gem was the audio. I'd started planting bugs, tiny ones, ordered off Amazon disguised as earrings, in the home office, the cars, even Mom's jewelry box. Ethan's voice, slurred after a client dinner. That spick thought he could unionize my site? One bump. And poof, problem solved. Played back on loop. It was dynamite. Still, I needed more. Leverage. A way to make it stick without them circling the wagons. Enter Lena Vasquez, Raul's widow. In my old life, I'd sent her anonymous checks through a shell foundation, a half-assed penance that let me sleep maybe 3 hours a night. Now, I reached out bold, a coffee at a dive on Halstead, me in a hoodie and jeans, no trace of the Harrington polish. She was wary, lines etched deep around eyes that had seen too much loss. But when I slid the first recording across the Formica table, Ethan's confession, time-stamped, she leaned in, breath-catching. "You're his sister," she said. Not a question. Accusation hung heavy, like the grease from the fryer. I replied, meeting her gaze. And I want him to rot. But we do this smart. No vigilante bullshit. We build a case the feds can't ignore. She searched my face, then nodded once.
Sharp.
For Raul. And the others they buried. Alliance forged in bitter coffee. From there, it snowballed. Lena connected me to ex-union guys. Whistleblower's dad had blackballed. I funneled cash, skimmed from my allowance, laundered through crypto, to PI firms tailing Ethan's side deals. Photos piled up, him with shady developers and backroom poker games. Envelopes thick as regrets changing hands. Mom's gin-fueled rants. Caught on mic. Victor's too soft. Should have handled the girl like we did the Mexican. The first crack showed at Christmas. Family dinner in the Gold Coast manse. Tree glittering with ornaments from aspen trips. Turkey carved with surgical precision. Dad raised his glass. To another year of Harrington legacy. I echoed. But my eyes locked on Ethan's across the crystal. He looked
off.
Thinner. Shadows under his eyes. Had I already changed the timeline? Or was paranoia my new drug? That night, as snow dusted the magnificent mile below, I overheard them in the study, voices low.
Urgent.
She's asking questions about the West Side files, Ethan hissed. Pulled the archives yesterday. Dad's rumble. Coincidence. Area's always been curious. Keep her close.
Close.
The word slithered like the blade. I backed away, pulse racing, and texted Lena, double security on the evidence drop. January hit Chicago like a freight train, winds howling off the lake, turning Michigan Avenue into a wind tunnel for the fur-coated elite scurrying to their brunches. I threw myself into the charade harder, volunteering for the company's philanthropy arm, a joke of a nonprofit that painted over the cracks in our empire with feel-good murals and food drives. It gave me cover, access to the server rooms, the dusty file cabinets in the basement where the real dirt hid. And it let me rub elbows with the ghosts, the displaced families, the ones Dad's bulldozers had herded like cattle. One afternoon, knee-deep in a community center on Pilsen, handing out winter coats to kids with cheeks hollow as their tenements, I locked eyes with Tommy Ruiz. He was maybe 10, all elbows and defiance, clutching a threadbare Bears jersey. My dad says your family's the reason we got no heat, he blurted, bold as brass. The volunteer mom beside him, Raul's cousin. I'd learn later, hissed a shush. But I knelt down, level with him. Kid's got guts, I said, zipping his coat with steady hands. And he's not wrong. But what if I told you I'm fixing it? Tommy squinted. Suspicious. You a liar like the rest? The mom pulled him away. Apologies tumbling. But his words stuck like burrs. Liar. That's what I'd been. This time. No more. That night, from my encrypted drive, I leaked the first breadcrumb, An anonymous tip to the Sun-Times about irregularities in Harrington's eviction stats. No names, no proof, just enough to make the reporter sniff. The blowback was swift. Dad called me into his office the next morning, the blinds half drawn against the gray slush outside. "What's this noise in the paper, Arya?" His tone was velvet over steel, the kind that had charmed senators but crushed interns. I played dumb, wide-eyed over my latte. "Dunno,
Dad.
sounds like someone's got an axe to grind." "You think it's those union holdouts?" He studied me, fingers drumming the mahogany desk, the same one hiding the ledger. "Hope not. We're family. We handle our own messes."
A pause. Heavy.
"You tell me if something was
Off.
right, always." The lie slid easy.
Practiced.
But as I left, Ethan's shadow fell in the hall. "Careful, sis," he murmured. Close enough, I felt his breath. "Stirring pots gets you burned." The threat hung, but I was already 2 moves ahead. Lena and I met in a laundromat off division neutral ground, washers humming white noise for cover. She slid me a USB, dashcam footage from a neighbor's ring, time-stamped to Ethan's hit and run. Blurry, but damning, the Escalade's plates clear as the skid marks on Raoul's life. "This gets out. They come for you," she warned, eyes hard. Let Adrenaline buzzed, sharp as the first hit of coke I'd tried in college. "I've got insurance." Insurance was Marcus Hale, a trash collector I'd befriended at one of my volunteer gigs. Big guy, ex-Marine with a buzz cut and a laugh like gravel in a tumbler. He hauled bins for the city's waste management contract, including the ones behind Harrington HQ. In my old life, he'd been the one to find my body, half buried under fast food wrappers in a landfill off I-55, the switchblade still clutched in my rigor-stiff hand. His 911 call broke the story wide open. But by then, the family had lawyered up, spun it as a tragic accident tied to my mental health struggles. Ethan walked free.
Now.
I courted him deliberate. Coffees at the Polish diner near his route. Stories swapped about shitty bosses and worse luck. "My old man's in real estate," I said one sleety morning, steaming mugs between us. "Cuts corners." "You ever find weird shit in those dumpsters?" Secrets folks thought they tossed. Marcus chuckled, wiping foam from his mustache. "Kid, I've pulled diamond rings, love letters, once a whole-ass safe. People are dumb about garbage." I leaned in. "What if I needed something
Preserved?
off the books?" His eyes sharpened, appraising. "Depends. You running from something? From everything?" Honesty.
Raw.
It hooked him. By week's end, he was my vault, evidence stashed in a lockbox under his floorboards in Bridgeport, duplicates emailed to burners only Lena knew. Spring thawed the city slow, dogwoods blooming defiant along the lakefront paths where joggers in Lululemon pretended the world wasn't rotting. I escalated. More leaks. Whispers to aldermen on the take. The Sun-Times ran a series, Harrington's Hidden Costs, naming no names but painting the empire in shades of gray. Stock dipped 3%. Dad's golf buddies called with concerns. At home, tension crackled like static. Mom upped her Pilates. Ethan started double-locking his office. And Dad? He watched me like I was a vault he couldn't crack. The first real test came in April. At the annual Harrington Gala, black tie affair at the Field Museum, dinosaurs looming over tuxes and gowns like judgmental gods. I wore emerald silk that hugged like armor. Preston on my arm as the perfect prop. Ethan cornered me by the Sioux skeleton. Champagne flutes clinking. Nice piece, he said, nodding at the dress. Hides the claws.
Though.
Claws? I sipped.
Coy.
You projecting, bro? Heard the boards grumbling about your creative accounting. His jaw ticked. The mask slipping. Watch your mouth.
Arya.
Or I'll shut it for you like old times. Old times. The trunk flashed. Darkness. Panic. His laugh echoing as the car lurched into motion. I gripped the stem till it snapped, shards biting my palm. Blood welled. Warm and real. First violence I'd tasted since rebirth. Try it, I whispered, stepping close. Our faces inches apart under the T-Rex's shadow. See what happens. He blinked. Thrown. Then recovered with a chuckle. Feisty. Dad'd love this side of you. But as he walked away,
I saw it. Doubt.
A hairline fracture in the family armor. Lena's network grew. Hackers from the Ukrainian diaspora in Ukrainian village. Jaded ex-cops nursing beers at the Billy Goat. We mapped it out in her cramped walk-up. Timelines. Alibis.
Kill shots.
You sure about this? She asked one night. Pizza boxes strewn like battle plans. They'll paint you as the crazy bitch. Rich girl gone rogue. Let M. I traced Raoul's photo on the wall. A shrine of sorts. Better than silent corpse. May brought heat. Sticky and unrelenting. The kind that turned the L into a sweatbox and tempers to tinder. Ethan struck first, subtle. Vicious. My tires slashed in the HQ garage. Whore keyed into the paint. Preston bailed after an anonymous text dump of my wild college pics, doctored. But who checks? Mom cornered me in the spa. Her nails digging like accusations. What's gotten into you? This. Rebellion. It's unbecoming. Unbecoming. I laughed. Bitter. Steam rising around us like fog off the lake. Like covering up murder? She froze. Terry cloth robe slipping. What did you say? You heard me. The words hung. A gauntlet thrown. Her eyes darted. Calculating. Ethan told me you were. Delicate. But this? Tell Dad, I said, wrapping my towel tight. Tell him the delicate one's about to shatter everything. She didn't. Not yet. But the walls closed in. I moved to a no-tell motel on the edge of Wicker Park. Cash only. Fake ID from Lena's guy, leaving a note. Need space. Love.
A.
From there, the war ramped up. I hit send on the first big drop. Ethan's dashcam to a Fed contact Lena vetted. Audio files to the Tribune's star investigative hack. By dawn, sirens wailed outside Harrington HQ. FBI. Badges flashing like judgment. Dad called my burner at noon. Voice thunder. Arya. What the fuck? Get home.
Now. No.
Simple.
Steal.
You ungrateful little. Static crackle. Then Ethan grabbing the phone. You think you're smart? We made you. We'll unmake you. Try.
Click.
The headlines exploded. Harrington air-linked to cover up scandal. Protests swelled outside the tower. Raoul's face on posters. Chants echoing off the loop's canyons. I watched from a dive bar on Division. Nursing a Jameson. Marcus beside me with his hauler's hands wrapped around a root beer. You did good. Kid, he rumbled. Clinking bottles. But they coming for you now. Let 'em find me. Adrenaline sang. a high purer than any pill. But deep down, the hook twisted. Was this justice? Or just my own poison spilling out? Summer scorched in. Humidity thick as lies. The feds raided the penthouse. Warrants served at dawn. Mom in her negligee. Dad in handcuffs for obstruction. Ethan vanished. Holed up in a Hampton safe house. Lawyered to the gills. I surfaced for the presser, flanked by Lena and a phalanx of ACLU suits. My voice steady on the steps of the Dirksen. My family built an empire on broken backs. Raul Mendoza's death was no accident. It was policy. And I'm done being silent. Cameras flashed. Questions pelted like hail. MS. Harrington. Motive? Revenge for what? A reporter barked. I met his eyes. Unflinching. For the girl I used to be. The one who let it happen. Backlash hit like a wave. Death threats in my inbox. Traitor scrawled on my rental's door. Preston's family sued for defamation, as if his limp dick was my fault. But the tide turned slow. Raul's kids got a trust fund from seized assets. The union reformed under new blood. Lena and I holed up in her place. Plotting the endgame, Ethan's extradition. Dad's plea deal. Then, July 4th, fireworks popping over the lake like celebratory gunfire. I got the call from Marcus. Voice tight. Found something in the bins behind your old man's office. Journal. Your handwriting. My blood iced. Burn it. Too late. Read it. He recited. Halting. Entries from my first life. The silence years, guilt spirals. Pill counts. That fatal voicemail draft. Arya. This. It's like a suicide note. But dated after you died. Timeline glitch. Or worse. In this reset. Fragments of me lingered. Echoes the family exploited. Ethan had it. Proof I was unstable. A plant to discredit the whole unraveling. Panic clawed. Where is it now? With me. Safe. But safe wasn't enough. They were circling. Wolves in Brooks Brothers. Time to end it. August baked the city into submission. Asphalt shimmering like a bad dream. The air conditioner in Lena's walk-up wheezing its last. We decamped to a safe house in Logan Square, courtesy of a sympathetic parish priest with a grudge against slumlords, bare walls. Twin beds. A hot plate for coffee that tasted like regret. My face was everywhere. CNN panels dissecting the Harrington whistleblower, late-night comics cracking wise about Daddy's little destroyer. Supporters trickled in. Activists dropping off tamales. A barista slipping me free lattes with notes. You're brave. Keep fighting. Brave? Bullshit. Nights. I jolted awake. The trunk's confines pressing in. Ethan's blade a phantom itch at my throat. Lena saw it. The shakes. The way I'd gripped the windowsill staring at the fireworks scars on the sky. This ain't just for Raul anymore, she said one dawn. Frying eggs in the dim kitchen. It's for you too. Don't lose yourself in the revenge. Too late, I muttered. But her words lodged like shrapnel. Was I saving the city? Or just torching it to warm my hands? The feds leaned hard, depositions in windowless rooms downtown. Agents with clipboards grilling me on timelines I half remembered from 2 lives. You have proof of your brother's direct involvement? Special Agent Kowalski. A bulldog with a bear's mug.
Pressed.
I slid the USB across. Enhanced audio. Ethan's voice crystal. Laughing about the bump. That's your smoking gun. But there's more. Dad's ledgers tie it to a dozen covers. Kowalski nodded. Impressed. Risky. Going public. Your family's got pull. Had. Past tense. Deliberate. But doubt nagged. The journal. If Ethan wielded it right, I'd be the villain. Delusional heiress hallucinating scandals. Her death, a faked cry for attention. Marcus called midweek. Voice muffled by truck rumble. Ethan's men sniffing around my route. Found a tail on the way home. You got a mole?
Paranoia spiked. Who?
Preston? A bored stooge I'd trusted? Lena swore clean. But trust was a luxury I'd bankrupted. Double-check the lockbox. Move it if you have to. Already did. Buried deep in the landfill. Ironic. Huh. His chuckle faded. Watch your six.
Arya.
I did. Literally, burner phone GPS on every shadow. Mace in my purse. A .38 Lena's uncle gifted tucked in my boot. Chicago felt like a chessboard. Every corner, a potential checkmate. Protests swelled. The South Side marching on City Hall. Effigies of Dad burning in effervescent bonfires. The Trib ran my op-ed. Silence kills. Why I broke the Harrington Code. Mom responded in a tearful interview. Park Avenue poise cracking just enough. My daughter. She's been troubled. We love her. Pray she's safe. Troubled. The word ignited something feral. I crashed the next family summit. Uninvited. Slipping past security into Dad's holding cell at the Metropolitan Correction Center. Plexiglass between us. His orange jumpsuit a far cry from Armani. Arya, he breathed, pressing the receiver. Thank God. This is madness. Come home. Testify it's a lie. I leaned close. Voice low. Like you lied about Raoul? Or the union rep in 18? The one suicided, off the Grant Park Bridge? His eyes widened, genuine shock? Or actor's craft? What do you? I know. Dad. All of it. The basement. The payoffs. Ethan's joyride. And my trunk ride. The last. A grenade. His face drained, ashen.
You.
Remember? Whisper. Horrified. Every cut. I stood. Chair scraping. Rot for it.
Outside.
Rain lashed the streets, turning the loop into rivers of neon. Ethan was next, tracked to a seedy motel in Cicero. Holed with a blonde lawyer half his age and a stack of cash. I went alone. Rain-slicked coat hood up, pounding the door till it cracked. Room service, I called. Voice syrup. He yanked it open. Gun in hand, a snub-nose .45. Trembling. You crazy bitch. I didn't flinch. Stepping in like I owned the roach trap. The room stank of weed and desperation. Blinds crooked. TV murmuring Fox News lies. Put it down.
Ethan.
We both know you won't shoot family. He laughed. Manic. Waving it loose. Family? You're the cancer.
Arya.
Always were. That journal? It's gold. Pills. Paranoia. Proves you're unhinged. I peeled off the coat. Revealing the wire, feds listening 2 blocks out. Smile for the mic.
Bro.
His face crumpled. Gun dipping.
Then.
Surge, lunging. Barrel cold on my temple. I'll end it now. Like before. Time fractured. Trunk. Blade.
Blood.
I twisted, boot kicking his knee, the .38 whipping out. We grappled, crashing into the dresser, mirrors shattering, shards like accusations. He pinned me, breath hot, For the family. Crack. The door splintered. Feds swarming. Drop it, Kowalski bellowed. Ethan froze. Then sagged. Cuffs clicking like punctuation. In the squad car, rain drumming the roof, I exhaled. One down. But the journal haunted. Marcus unearthed it from the landfill depths, wrapped in plastic. My scrawled confessions in use. Your words, kid, he said, handing it over in a Wrigleyville lot. His truck idling. But dated wrong. Like you wrote it. Future. Chills. Rebirth bleed? Or sabotage? I burned it that night. Flames licking pages in a steel drum behind the safe house, watching my old self curl to ash. Goodbye. Silent aria. September's equinox brought a false calm, trial date set, assets frozen, the empire crumbling like dry rot. Mom cut a deal, spilling on Dad's dirt for immunity. Her tear-streaked face on every channel. I was scared. We all were.
Scared.
Not sorry. I testified in October. The courthouse is zoo, reporters jostling, protesters chanting, "Justice for Raoul," from the steps. On the stand, under fluorescent glare, I laid it bare, the basement, the silence, the trunk's terror. They didn't just kill him, I said, voice echoing. They killed me. Over and over, till I broke free. Ethan glared from the defense table, his lawyer objecting furiously.
Dad.
Beside him, looked shrunken. A king dethroned. Cross-exam. MS. Harrington, isn't it true you suffered a breakdown? Hallucinations. I met the shark's eyes.
No.
I suffered silence. And I won't anymore. Jury out 3 days. Verdict. Guilty. All counts. Manslaughter for Ethan. Racketeering for Dad. Sentences. 25 and life. No parole. Cheers erupted outside. Hugs from strangers, Lena's arm around me. Marcus clapping my back like a proud uncle. But victory tasted hollow. Ash on the tongue. In the afterglow, cracks showed. Anonymous emails. You think it's over? Watch your back. Preston's lawsuit dragged, painting me as gold digger turned harpy. And the dreams vivid now. Not just the death, but futures unlived. Me? Free. Maybe writing exposés in some Brooklyn brownstone. Or lost in the wind. Another ghost. November's chill warned of winter's return. I moved to a studio in Ukrainian village, tiny, but mine. Paid with book advances from the scandal memoir deals flooding in. Lena and I toasted with pierogies and vodka, to loose ends.
Tied, she said.
Not all. The journal's echo lingered. What if the reset wasn't clean? What if I'd carried the poison too? Then, the call, Marcus.
Urgent.
Dumpster dive behind the old HQ. Found this. A package arrived, brown paper. No return. Inside, a flash drive. Label, Area's Truth. Heart slamming. I plugged it in. Video grainy. Timestamped December 2025, my death date. Original timeline.
Me.
Bound in the trunk. Camera on Ethan's phone. Capturing my pleas. Please? Ethan, why?
His voice.
Off screen. Because you talked. And families forever. But the twist, a second file. Audio only. Dad's voice. Pre-death. Do it clean. Son. Make it look like she ran. The girl's always been weak.
Weak.
The word ignited the final fuse. I forwarded it to Kowalski. Anonymous. By dawn. Appeal stalled, new evidence. Conspiracy upgraded. December dawned bitter. Lake effect snow blanketing the city in white lies. For years since my death, one since rebirth. I stood on the Adler Planetarium steps, wind whipping, watching freighters crawl the horizon. Lena joined, bundled, thermos steaming. You did it,
Arya.
They're done. Almost. One loose end, me. The silence that birthed the monster. That night, the trash collector's find broke wide, Marcus. Tipped by me, discovered the drive in a bin marked for shredding. Headline screamed, Harrington's final secret, heir's murder plot exposed. Mom's immunity revoked, her Hamptons exile ending in cuffs. I watched from a bar on Rush Street, Jameson burning smooth. No more ghosts. Just Arya, scarred, but standing. The holidays loomed like a bad sequel, eggnog spiked with memories. Carols mocking the wreckage. Chicago hunkered down, streets strung with lights that twinkled ironic against the gray. My studio became a bunker, stacks of galleys for the book, silent no more, a Harrington reckoning. Emails from producers sniffing a Netflix limited series. Authentic grit, one gushed.
Grit.
If only they knew the half. Lena dragged me out for New Year's, a block party in Pilsen. Mariachi horns blasting over the chill. Piñatas swinging like pendulums of fate. We danced, her laughter pulling me from the edge. Raoul's kids twirling with glow sticks, their eyes bright with futures uncrushed. See, she yelled over the din. This is what you bought. Worth it? The question gnawed. A splinter under nail. Ethan rotted in Supermax. Appeals drowning in the new evidence.
Dad.
In hospice now, cancer. Poetic, whispered confessions through glass. Forgive me.
Girl.
I walked away. No backward glance. Mom? She flipped, testifying against them both for a reduced sentence. Her society friends ghosting like smoke. Last I heard, she waitressed in Gary, Indiana, trading caviar for tips. But the real haunt was the mirror. Rebirth's gift? Or curse? Flashes came unbidden. Alternate deaths. Branches where I'd stayed silent longer. Or cracked sooner. In one, I pulled the trigger on Ethan in that motel. Blood on my hands, freedom tasting like lead. In another, I joined them, co-CEO. Queen of the rot. Raoul's ghost my crown's thorns. Therapy helped pro bono from a South Side clinic. The shrink a no-nonsense Korean vet who called bullshit on my deflections. Revenge isn't closure.
Arya.
It's a mirror. What do you see? Me, I said finally. Session 12. Not them. Spring 2026 bloomed tentative, tulips pushing through concrete cracks. A metaphor too on the nose. The book launched to buzz, signings at Women and Children First. Panels with Me Too firebrands. Royalties funded a scholarship, Raul Mendoza Memorial, for displaced kids chasing law degrees. Marcus emceed the first gala, his suit ill-fitting but grin wide. From trash to treasure. I clinked his glass. Couldn't have without you. He shrugged. Humble. Just did my job. Found what was hid. Summer brought heat and healing. Yoga on the lakefront. Dates with a barista named Jax who quoted Ginsberg and didn't flinch at my scars. You're a storm, he said one night. Tangled in sheets overlooking the water. But the good kind. Cleansing. I laughed. Real, first time in years. or lifetimes. Lena started dating too, a union organizer with a mustache like Marcus's. Full circle, she texted, emoji heart. But closure's a myth. Fall leaves turned, and the appeals hit fever pitch. Ethan's lawyers spinning the drive as deepfake, hiring PIs to dig my instability. Threats resurfaced. Slashed tires on Jax's bike. My publisher's office vandalized. Kowalski called. Lay low. He's desperate. Desperate men do desperate things. November gale howled, and I got the pull. Burner buzz. Marcus's number. They're hitting the landfill tonight. Torch job on the backups. Heart seized. The lockbox duplicates. Originals. My insurance. Feds en route. 10 out. But Aria.
Go. Now.
I grabbed the .38. Coat.
Keys.
Logan Square to I-55. Traffic a snarl of horns and halogens. Rain lashed. Wipers slapping rhythm. Why me? Not Jax. Not Lena me. The ghost who wouldn't stay buried. The landfill sprawled like a scar south of the city, mounds of refuse under floodlights. The air ripe with decay. Marcus's truck idled near the perimeter. Feds' unmarked SUVs creeping in. I parked dark, slipping through chain link, mud sucking at boots. Voices ahead, low.
Urgent.
Ethan's crew? Hired muscle. Shadows in black. Crack. Gunshot. Muffled. I froze. Then ran. .38 heavy. Marcus slumped by a digger. Blood blooming on his flannel. Kid, he wheezed, clutching gut. Hold on. Hands pressed. Red slick. Sirens wailed distant.
Who?
2 guys. For the boss.
Said.
Finish what he started.
Ethan.
From his cell. Strings pulled. Rage white hot. Eclipsing fear. Footsteps crunched. 2 figures. Ski masks. Duffel slung. I rose. Gun steady. Drop and they spun. Pistols rising. Harrington bitch, one snarled. Time slowed. Pop pop. Muzzle flashes stitching night. I fired center mass. Training from Lena's uncle kicking in. One dropped. Gurgling. The other lunged. Tackling. Fist cracking my jaw. We rolled. Mud and blood. His knife glinting familiar. Switchblade gleam. For Ethan, he roared. Plunging. Twist, I jammed the .38 under his chin. Trigger cold.
Boom.
Silence. Profound. Feds swarmed then. Kowalski hauling me up. Jesus.
Aria.
You okay? Marcus, alive. Medevaced. The duffels, evidence intact. Plus a note and the whore.
E.
Trial addendum. Conspiracy from bars. Ethan's appeals vaporized. Solitary for life.
Me?
Cleared. Self-defense. But the weight lingered, second kill. First in this skin. Winter broke, gentle. 2027 dawning crisp. I sold the book rights. Bought a brownstone in Bronzeville, roots in the soil I'd helped till. Jax moved in. His poetry mingling with my case files. Lena godmothered the first Mendoza scholar. A girl with Tommy Ruiz's fire. Marcus healed. Promoted to supervisor. Trash king. I teased at his party. One December Eve. For years post-rebirth. I stood on my stoop. Snow dusting shoulders. Watching kids build forts in the park. A package waited, no sender. Inside, the original ledger. Anonymous drop. With it, a letter. Mom's script.
Frail.
Burned bridges. But truths remain. For what it's worth, sorry. Live loud.
Arya.
I did. No silence left. Just echoes. Fading. And a city. Breathing freer. The end?
Nah.
Just the hook turning page.